Hi, I'm Yanis. Welcome to the weekly update for the Jamstack Incubation Engineering SEG at GitLab. I'm currently working on a GitLab Pages onboarding page. I had spent some time on a source editor extension dealing with YAML files the last couple of weeks. That extension is now in review, and I am back trying to iterate over the page that I had actually written it for. This is how the onboarding page looked like last time that we talked about it. The problem that I had with this site is the fact that the GitLab CI YAML file requires a lot of information in order for the pipeline to work. It needs a build image, the installation script, the build script, the destination folder, the branch, and ideally also a cache instruction. If I would put all this info into input fields on the left-hand side, this would feel absolutely overwhelming. Similar to editing the YAML directly, so I guess the benefit of the whole onboarding page would be gone. To solve this, we could either make a few educated assumptions, like the build image is almost always going to be node latest, or the cache folder will very, very likely be node modules. But what if it is not? I mean, we support non-JS frameworks like Hugo. Making these kind of assumptions, putting them into the YAML without asking, that suggests like we don't. So I think this wouldn't be the best idea. I mean, we could make automated guesses based on the files in the project, intelligently identifying Nuxt based on a Nuxt config.js, for example. And this is definitely something that I would like to look at in the future. I know this idea is a constant in the incubation engineering department. But in the spirit of iteration, I really wanted to go with a much simpler idea for now. So I'm still asking the user to give me all the information, but I made the process a bit better. So what I did is I broke down this form into multiple steps, now flowing from one step to another. And now I can get all the input I need and still not overwhelm the user. Some pages only have a single input field giving this, hey, this is easy feeling. And as a second effect, I can build up the contents of the YAML file step by step. That makes it so much less intimidating. I mean, I can still even highlight, hey, this is the exact point of the change you're making right now. But I also make the surrounding structure a bit more bite-sized. So the last step, again, is to commit this newly created YAML file. I have created this draft MR for this change. I'll put the link in the video description. Now, I still need to resolve a few issues with this MR. For example, the navigation is based on a view router, which makes it very elegant, but it can lose its state during a page reload, so that's a finicky thing that I still need to address. There's a few other minor things, so the next update will probably be rather boring, me resolving all these issues. I do want to very quickly address how this page fits in the general pipeline authoring thing that does try to solve this very similar issue, meaning making building a YAML file more friendly. So ideally what I'm doing here is something that can be done in the pipeline authoring section at some stage too. But I think since Pages doesn't have an onboarding at the moment, it's a great area where we can experiment with this in a very limited scope. We don't need to cater for all project types. We're generic enough to cater for most static sites, but not so generic that we're just replicating the entire GitLab CI YAML documentation just as input fields. One idea that I had could be that we can create an individual onboarding path like this for all common project types. Like, we're not just offering templates, but the whole guided input. Building on this fantastic suggestion from Nadia, you select a project type like in this design, and then you get redirected to an onboarding program like the one I made for static sites. Instead of hundreds of YAML templates for every framework out there, we could just have a couple of different onboarding routes depending on the project type. I don't know, it's just an idea, and I'll leave it at that for today. But thank you so much for your attention. I'll see you next week.